Throughout history, a select few rulers have stood out for their iron grip over their nations. Figures whose very names evoke images of absolute power, unchallenged authority, and the ability to shape entire eras to their will. But who were these leaders, and how did they manage to maintain such total control over millions? Today, we're diving into the lives and legacies of 5 of the most powerful rulers in history. Absolute power is a rare phenomenon. While many have sought it, only a handful have truly achieved it. These rulers didn't just command armies or enforce laws, they shaped the very fabric of their societies, often bending the rules of tradition, law, and morality to suit their ambitions. Their reigns were marked by sweeping reforms, ruthless purges, and a relentless drive to centralize authority. But absolute power comes at a cost, both to those who wield it and the people they govern. So, how did these 5 leaders rise to the top, and what methods did they use to keep their grip on power unbreakable? Let's begin our deep dive with Napoleon Bonaparte. Born in Corsica and rising through the ranks of the French military, Napoleon's ascent to power was nothing short of meteoric. After the chaos of the French Revolution, France was desperate for stability, and Napoleon delivered it, on his own terms. By 1799, he had staged a coup d'état, seizing control of the French government. But Napoleon wasn't content with being a mere political leader. In 1804, he crowned himself emperor, signaling the start of a regime where his word was law. Napoleon centralized the administration, reformed the legal system with the Napoleonic Code, and maintained strict control over the press and public opinion. His secret police rooted out dissent, and his charisma kept the military and populace loyal. Through a combination of military genius, propaganda, and ruthless suppression of opposition, Napoleon maintained an unprecedented level of control, expanding his empire across Europe. But his relentless pursuit of power also sowed the seeds of his downfall, as overreach and resistance from other nations eventually led to his exile. Next, we turn to Julius Caesar, whose name is synonymous with authority itself. In the waning days of the Roman Republic, Caesar emerged as a brilliant general and shrewd politician. His conquest of Gaul made him a hero to his soldiers and a threat to his rivals. When the Senate tried to strip him of his command, Caesar famously crossed the Rubicon River, igniting a civil war that would end with him as the undisputed ruler of Rome. Caesar's control was absolute. He was named dictator for life, bypassing the traditional checks and balances of the Republic. He restructured the government, packed the Senate with loyalists, and enacted reforms to win popular support. But his centralization of power alarmed the old guard, leading to his assassination in 44 BCE. Even in death, Caesar's legacy endured, as his example paved the way for the Roman Empire and centuries of imperial rule. Joseph Stalin's rise to power in the Soviet Union is a chilling study in totalitarian control. After the Russian Revolution and Lenin's death, Stalin maneuvered his way to the top, eliminating rivals through cunning, manipulation, and sheer brutality. Once in power, Stalin transformed the Soviet state into a vast apparatus of surveillance and repression. The secret police, or NKVD, enforced loyalty through fear, while purges and show trials eliminated any hint of opposition. Stalin controlled every aspect of Soviet life, from the economy to the arts, using propaganda to build a cult of personality. His policies of collectivization and industrialization were enforced with ruthless efficiency, often at the cost of millions of lives. Dissent was not tolerated. Those who spoke out faced exile, imprisonment, or execution. Stalin's reign left a legacy of both industrial might and unimaginable suffering, demonstrating the terrifying potential of absolute power in the modern age. Traveling back to ancient China, we find Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor, and the man who unified a fractured land. Before his rise, China was divided into warring states, but Qin Shi Huang's military campaigns brought them under a single rule. As emperor, he was determined to erase the old order and forge a new centralized state. He standardized currency, weights, measures, and even the written script, ensuring uniformity across his empire. To maintain control, he abolished feudal privileges, replaced local nobles with loyal officials, and instituted harsh legalist policies. The construction of massive projects like the Great Wall and the Emperor's own mausoleum showcased his authority and his willingness to mobilize vast resources for his vision. Dissent was crushed, often literally, with scholars who opposed his rule buried alive and books burned. Qin Shi Huang's reign was short but transformative, laying the foundations for centuries of imperial rule in China. Finally, we arrive in the gilded halls of Versailles, where Louis XIV reigned as the Sun King. His motto, "L'État, c'est moi, I am the state," was no empty boast. Louis centralized power in France like no monarch before him, weakening the nobility by keeping them close at court and out of regional politics. He expanded the bureaucracy, ensuring that loyal officials, not hereditary nobles, ran the kingdom. Through elaborate court rituals and displays of wealth, Louis reinforced his image as the source of all authority and grandeur. The king controlled religion, revoked the Edict of Nantes to enforce Catholic unity, and censored the press. His wars and building projects drained the treasury but left an enduring legacy of royal power. Louis XIV's reign became the model for absolute monarchy, influencing rulers across Europe and beyond. The impact of these rulers on history is profound and lasting. Napoleon's legal reforms influenced laws across continents, while his military campaigns reshaped Europe. Julius Caesar's rise and fall marked the end of the Roman Republic and the birth of the Empire, a political system that would dominate the ancient world. Stalin's totalitarian regime set the template for modern dictatorships, with consequences still felt in global politics. Qin Shi unification of China created a nation that endures to this day, while Louis XIV's example of absolute monarchy inspired both imitation and revolution. Yet the stories of these rulers also serve as cautionary tales. Absolute power can bring stability and progress, but it often comes at the expense of freedom, justice, and human life. The methods they used, ruthless suppression, propaganda, and the centralization of authority, remain relevant in our world, reminding us of the delicate balance between order and liberty. If you found this journey through history's most powerful rulers fascinating, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Which ruler do you think wielded the most absolute power, and what lessons can we learn from their reigns? Join the conversation and stay tuned for more deep dives into the figures who shaped our world.